Welcome CSC 102 W1 Summer D 2020 to the Google version of WD01 business letter envelope. And actually, we're just going to do the business letter because I don't have an easy way to show you how to do an envelope in Google Docs right now. So we're just going to do the business letter right now. If I find a better way for you to do a number 10 envelope, I'll show it to you. But for right now, we'll just do the business letter. So what you're going to do in my warrant is go to Documents and Resources, and you're going to go down in the handouts, look for Unit 3. That's where you're going to find this exercise for WD01, and there's instructions. Now, right now, these are the Word instructions, but you can open them up still. Hopefully, I'll have Google Drive instructions for you by the time you watch this video. And also, you're going to open up the diagram. That's the most important. And it'll show you the business letter diagram with the return address, inside address, the date. We have the salutation, the body of our letter, closing, signature line, and we're going to put a signature in there. So that's what we're going to do here. And I even have some text that we're going to copy and paste so we don't have to go through and type all this, because normally I ask you to type this. But for the sake of making the video quicker, I'm going to copy and paste some things. So what you're going to do is you're going to go open a new tab, and you're going to open up Google Docs. And there's my Google Docs and a blank document. And you're going to change the margins, because on the diagram it says 1.25 on the left and right and an inch on the top and bottom. So we're going to do that by going to File, Page Setup, down towards the bottom, and for the left and right we're just going to change them to be 1.25, and the right is going to be 1.25, and we'll hit OK, and that's all we have to do there. And then I'm going to go back here, and I have a thing called BusLetter Text that I'm going to open up, and it should open a new tab. And I'm just going to do a couple things at a time here instead of doing all of it, but I'll highlight these lines here and I'll copy this. That's the return address, and I'll go back here and I'll just paste it, and it should do it like that. Shouldn't put any extra space or anything. And also make sure that we're using Times New Roman, and you can leave it at 12 points, so that's fine. That's what that should look like. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to hit enter or return, whatever it says on your keyboard, and I'm going to do that 2 times. And you can leave this as a hyperlink right now, and there is a way to turn it off, but I can't remember right now, so I'm just going to leave that on. And when I take a break, I'll tell you how to turn off that hyperlink if you don't want a hyperlink on your letter. And actually, it's quite easy to do that. While you right-click when you're using Windows or Mac version of Word in Google Docs, you just highlight the hyperlink itself, and there's a little remove there, and you just do that. So that's it. That's all you have to do in Google Docs to get rid of a hyperlink. And we're going to insert a date here. Now again, in Google Docs, we don't have an insert date option. So what we're going to do is just type the date. So we're just going to put June 13th, 2020. We don't have to put the day unless you don't want to. So we'll just put June 13th, 2020. And then I'll hit 2 returns again. And then we'll put our inside address, which is our delivery address. So I'll go back to my text here, and this is that Rutgers stuff. And I won't put the salutation. I'll just go up to this Piscataway, New Jersey line, and I'll highlight that stuff. And I'll go back to Google Docs, and I'll paste it there, and that looks fine. And then I'm going to actually put 2 extra returns. So I'm going to return, so I have double the space. So I have 2 blank lines. Now, we can't see the hidden characters for those returns unless we use a special add-on, which I don't have in right now. I do that in other videos, so I'm just going to leave that off for now. But just keep in mind, we're going to put 2 extra spaces there, and then we'll just put attention, whatever that is. That's attention undergraduate program director. And I like doing that instead of to whom it may concern and stuff like that, or dear somebody. I like doing that. So I'll put a colon here. Even though there's a colon here, I guess you could put a comma so you don't have both colons. So I'll do that, and then again just 2 returns, so we only have 1 space, and this is where your letter is going to start. So I'll go back here and just copy the whole letter. This is the body of the letter, and I'll just copy it and go back to here, and I'll paste it. And I did put an extra return in here for this included part, so I'll just put that just to break up these 2 kind of statements of what they say here. And then for my last part, I'm going to hit return. So there's an extra space in there, and I'll just put sincerely and a comma, and then I'll just put a bunch of returns. I don't know how many, just enough for a signature. And then I'll put my name, and I'll put Stephen M. Smith. That's what I use when I'm doing these letters, and I'll do that. Now that's okay for a business letter, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a tab. So I'm going to highlight this whole thing, and the reason I'm setting a tab is I want to move the June 13th over, and I want to move the sincerely and that part over to here, like the sample. I want to move it over there, a 3.5 left tab. Now, there's different ways to do that, and I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to just go over here and start tabbing or spacing. You know, those are bad habits. You don't want to do that. We're going to set a tab so that it goes right away. So you could highlight everything, and I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to do Command A, but you could do Control A and select everything. And all you have to do to set a tab in Google Docs is just click right here, and it says Add Left Tab Stop, and that's what we want to do right there. And I'll select that, and it added a tab stop. Now, nothing happened. Nothing moved, and that's okay because it's just tab stop. It's like a marker for a tab. So if you want to put a tab, just click here, let your cursor be blinking, and then hit the tab key. And then I'll do the same thing down here because I had everything selected. I'll hit the tab key, and I'll hit the tab key. And we're almost done here. And then all I have to do is I'm going to click here somewhere in between, and I'm going to insert an image. Now, I already downloaded this, but let me just show you what you can do here. I'll go back to Documents and Resources, and I think I have an image of a signature. It's just a generic signature that you could download. And you could right-click this and do Save Link As, and I already did that, so I'm not going to do it again, but you can right-click Save Link As, and you can see I have it there, mysignature.jpg, so you could save it there. I'll just put _GD for Google Docs, so I have a second one there, and I'll just use that one, but it's the same one. And I could do that. And I think you could even copy it and paste it if you want to. Let me try copying and paste it even before doing that. So if I click on here, I'll see that. And if I right click and say copy image, I could go to my document, and I'm just curious if it'll let me paste it. I'll just put paste. And there, it pasted it. So that worked. And I'm just going to resize it a little bit. Now if you want to move it around, if you go to these three dots here and just go to adjustments and text wrapping, I believe. And I'm just going to say break text. And then when you do that, it has move with text, or you could say fix position on page. And so again, just to review what I did there, after I double clicked on it, I went to text wrapping and I put break text. And then this thing expanded here and it gave me an option, move with text. And I don't want to move with text. I want to fix position on page. So I'm going to choose that. And that way I should be able to grab this thing and move it in between here. And let me see what it's doing here. It's kind of pushing things away too much because it's trying to break it. I might have to make it a little bit smaller. And see if I could backspace this a little bit and hit tab. And I'll hit tab. See, it'll kind of push it away if it's too close. So if you make it bigger, it's going to move things away. But you can get it in there. That's a one way where you can kind of grab this and move it around. But you have to do fixed position on page, so you can kind of grab it and grab this thing and move it around if you need to. And if you click off it, you can see it's doing okay. So I'll move it back here. And you just got to watch that you don't put it, I'll move it down a little. And now it's kind of splitting in between, so it's pushing that stuff away. So you have to mess around with it. The images in Google Docs are a little tricky. It's a little easier in Word because you could just float around and put it wherever you want it. But here it's kind of it's a little more dependent on some of the text sets around it. It's a little harder to move stuff around. But that's all you really have to do for this one. So I'm going to go here and give it a name, and I'm going to call it WD01 _BusLetter or BusLet, whatever, and I'll just put last name, and I'll put Homa R, that's my name, and you don't have to put .doc or anything like that. You could just save it, and then you could just share it. And don't worry about an envelope right now, even though if you're doing Google Docs, you're kind of not doing as much, but you're doing something different, so that's okay. And what you'd want to do to turn this in, instead of downloading and uploading it and doing all that, you could just share this. Make sure that when you share it, it's able to be shared. So change to anyone with this link. So I'm going to make sure anyone with this link can do it, and I'll hit got it, and I'll say copy link, and I'll do done, because otherwise then I have to ask for permission. And once you copy that link, you could go back to my Warren, and it appears I got logged out of here, and I'll go back to my courses, and I'll go to coursework, and I'll look for unit 3. And here's business letter. Now I already did it for another video, that's why it says it's a waiting grade. But what you're going to do if you're using Google Docs, you could click on this and you would add comment, and you would insert a link, this little link thing here, and just paste your link. That's your shared link, and then just target new window so that when I click on it, it goes to a new tab and I don't have to, hit my back button to get back to my Warren, and then just hit OK. and that's it. So if you use Google Docs, this is what you're going to do. Don't worry about the upload thing. I already uploaded something in a previous video, but you don't have to worry about that. You just have to share your link here, and don't worry about an envelope right now. I'll look for some kind of alternative to do with that. There is an add-on for envelopes in Google Docs, but I've had problems using it. It just doesn't seem to work, or I haven't found it correctly. So I'll add another little video if we can do that. But for now, this is fine. So that's what you're going to do for WD01 if you're using Google Docs for summer 2020 for CSC 102, W1, Summer D.